Hi, my name is Jeff and welcome back to my workshop. Today we're going to be building an Accurail kit. This is a Grand Trunk Pacific Gondola kit. This was a custom printed run I picked up from one of the gentlemen in my train club a couple of years ago. So inside we've got a sprue with the floor and the end pieces and some of the brake gear. The car body minus the ends. Some packing material, a bag with trucks and couplers. We're going to be using the trucks but not the couplers. We'll replace the Accurail couplers with Katie's. And a sprue with the stirrup steps and some more of the brake rigging. There's an instruction sheet with it, and of course a weight. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is remove the ends from the sprue. I'm just using my sprue cutting nippers to slice those off as smoothly as I can, and also getting the piece that connects between the two ends so we separate it at each connection point. With the sides removed from the sprue, we do need to take a sanding stick and just kind of sand it smooth, get those nubs off so it fits smoothly. And get the top in under the end rails and then push the bottom into place. Kind of swings in and fits snugly with the side walls. Once the ends are in place, we're just going to secure them with a little bit of plastic solvent cement at the seams. Then I'll repeat the process at the other end of the car. Okay, with the sides in place, we can turn our attention to the underframe. The first thing I did was paint the trucks. I used the plastic wheel sets that came with the car as masks over the truck side frames and sprayed them a grimy black color. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of Vallejo leather using a micro brush to the springs on the trucks. That way the trucks have some place to go when they hit more terrain section of rail. With those dry, we can remove the paint holders and take out the plastic wheel sets. These can now be discarded. Next step is to remount the wheel journals, and you just insert this the way you would a truck. It has a cutting edge on one end, and you just spin it until it feels like it's turning smoothly. Flip it around, repeat the process on the other side of the car. And then we'll do the same thing for the other truck as well. With all four axle locations reamed out, we can insert the axles, give them a quick test spin, and see a smooth running car. Okay, with the trucks ready, you can see I've got the air reservoir and some of the other brake gearing in place, the cylinder and the tri-valve, and now I'm just prepping the coupler covers and installing the couplers. These are Katie number 148s. and they just fit in. Coupler cover sits on the end, and then just screw them down till they're covered snugly but still move freely within the coupler cover box. If you need to sand the inside of the coupler cover box a little bit to help things move freely, go ahead and do that. I had to do that on one of them. And then just set your tension on it so that they swing freely in that box. This is one of the stirrup steps, and you got to be careful. You want to make sure it's facing the right way. There's a little bit of an indent on the side. It's hard to see it in my fingers, but you want to make sure that the step is off center from the mounting pin, so you want the mounting pin towards the inside of the car. So this way the step sits on the side frame of the car. So insert those in, and then I just put a dot of glue on those pins just to hold it in place, and then we can screw the trucks on. And again, you want to get the trucks in so they're just tight enough that it turns freely on the kingpin, and you want one truck to spin freely with no wobble. The other truck should have a little bit of wobble to it. That'll help the car track better. So with the wheel sets on, we can now turn the car over, and we are ready to install the weight. So the instructions say not to use a solvent-based glue. They suggest like a tacky glue, but I like Walther's Goo for this. And my method is first to test fit the weight, make sure I know exactly where it's going. Now that I know it fits in there as I need it to, I can take the weight out, and we're going to put a bead of glue down the center of the car, staying between the area where the car ends and begins again, and then put a bead of glue down the center of the weight. And I'm going to use a micro brush to spread this so we have a thin layer on both the inside of the car and on the weight. And at that point, we're going to need to set it aside and let it dry. Funny thing about glue, when you put it on both surfaces and you let the solvent evaporate from it, you end up with a very tacky substance on each side that won't stick to a lot of things, but will stick to itself really well. So, we can do it however you want, but we can do it over this week. Okay, with the goo spread out thinly, we're going to set this aside for at least 2 minutes so that the solvents can dry and everything tacks up. Okay, been a couple of minutes, and now we can just pop the weight into place. We want to be careful and watch our timing because we're only going to get one shot at this. Once it's in, it's not moving. We might be able to get a little bit of movement out of it, but we're not going to get much. Okay, with that done, we need to dress the floor of the car. I'm going to use a pale gray paint and a sponge technique to create the appearance of the paint having been worn off the wood flooring. Okay, I'm going to use a sponge painting technique, so I've got some of the paint on a cup. I'm going to dab it onto the sponge and then dab most of it off onto my paper towel here, so that when I leave and mark it in, make sure I have a good firm grip on it. I just want to leave a little bit on here. Now I want this to be fairly worn, so I'm going to go a little heavier than I might if I were trying to model a new floor or a freshly painted car floor. But I want this car to look like it's had some use on it. I want the gray over there. Now I'm going to use a little bit of a raw sienna and just the same sponge. Again, just dab off most of the paint. I want to have very light color on this. This one I'm going to apply very sparingly and make sure I go down very lightly. I don't want to do it and spread out. Now with that dry, we can install the floor. And it just slides into place on the bottom and just pushes itself down. We could run a bead of styrene cement along the sides of the car to seal it in place if we need to, but this is down pretty good in there, so we're good to go there. Now I just need to weather the car. I'm using some pan pastels to do this. I'm going to start with a reddish brown color similar to the car sides and apply very lightly, so I'm rubbing most of it off of my sponge just to kind of give the lettering a faded paint look. It'll also let the car look like it's been faded in the sun. And then I'm going to use some darker gray to just kind of hit the shadows of the ribs along the side. And of course we'll do this on both sides and on the ends. Now a little bit of a earth color brown along the bottom of the car, and particularly over the trucks where it would get some splatter. We'll also hit the ends vertically over the wheels, like again where there'd be some splatter from the wheels rolling. Then I'm going to use a little bit of light gray on the inside to have that, give that a faded look. Again, they match the floor to look like it's been beaten pretty good and the paint's been chipped off. And then a rust color along the top edge where it's been exposed to elements and where it's been scraped by things being loaded into and taken out of the car. With that, the car's completed. It's a nice one-day project. Doesn't take very long to complete. And we have a piece of rolling stock ready to go on the layout and look good and start hauling different products for the railroad. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. And turn on notifications so you don't miss my next video. I post videos on Thursdays and shorts on Mondays at 3 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for watching.